Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to break down my favorite frames from 2024. Where did I get this idea? I just listened to a Wander DP podcast and I realized I should show some of my favorite frames. Not all the frames are like my favorite cinematic shots or like the best shots I made as a DP. Some of them are just more things I want to point out, like the flexibility of a Sony FX6 or 3 with that dual native ISO. I mean, that was crazy. I got to take advantage of that in Vegas. Shot with the V Raptor. One of the frames I'm breaking down is the project that we had 6 Alexas on. 4 of them were mini LFs and 2 of them were Alexa 35s. And then, of course, a 3-camera podcast for Nikki Glazer. Let's dive into some of these shots. I'm going to call it a few things as I see them. I did write down some notes up here about try to go back and remember which camera did I shoot this on and what lenses were they on. So this was shot on a Red V Raptor with a Ronin 2 and the Laowa Nanomorph 1.5X anamorphics. Why? Well, it's my V Raptor, but why the anamorphics? It's because we want to shoot them, want to try on them, and this was a free project. Most of my favorite work has been on free or next to free projects. Now, we still haven't released this video, but man, it's got so many lines. It's got angle lines from the bridge. It's got circular lines from the large tire, vertical lines. We're shooting low over this, like I'm lower down to the ground with a Ronin 2 running left to right, and while he's pushing the tire one direction, I might be going the other direction. I don't really remember what this exact, which direction this is. It's a still frame, but I love how much symmetry is going on. I love how dirty the frame is. I love how we're catching in between these 2 bushes that were already there. The only other thing that we added to this frame was atmosphere with some blowers, like leaf blowers. We were blowing up dust, which in retrospect was probably not great for the talent and us. I mean, 'cause this was just a freaking abandoned lot downtown St. Louis. So we might have taken a couple of days off our life, but it's beautiful. Love the silhouette, and I can't wait to see what a colorist could do. This is still probably like at ISO 800, maybe 640. I often do that when I'm shooting red, allowing the flexibility of the colorist to push and pull when needed. And these anamorphics, they don't fully cover the frame. I don't know not all of them do. Don't cover the full VistaVision, but I mean, I think this turned out pretty nice. This is still from the same project, so we got again Red V Raptor, Ronin 2, Laowa anamorphics. You can get creative when you're running with a Ronin 2. Get that roll axis going. The guy's rolling, doing like the Superman through the tunnel. It's just fun, just beautiful looking stuff. I'm very excited about these frames. It helps me remember that I am a cinematographer who can capture pretty images and not just sometimes the talking heads or whatever that sometimes we find ourselves into. Now we're looking at a project from Microsoft that we shot on the Red V Raptor with Type SKs. They're like this vintage prime lens, I think from Russia, and I threw some scarf dust. One of the reasons why I have this frame in my top favorites is for how fast we had to go on this project. There is this beautiful blue kind of gradient light in the background. We worked really hard to get that soft color contrast. No, we didn't. There was just a small sliver of windows that were high in this kind of mid-century modern home. Just happened to belong to one of the producers. It just came in like that. I mean, the sun was on the opposite side of the building, so this is just an ambient angled gradient light coming through, which flipping pops. I love it. I think it looks dope. And then some of the highlights up top, and her edge light is just a tube, and Titan tube coming through, tungsten-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. And because we were moving quick, they already had this beautiful dome light, and this is around a kitchen table, and all I ended up doing was using the practical and throwing some like 4x4 diffusion frames. I think it was like a silk. But anyway, took some of the light off the back wall, and then softened up her face a little bit. This wasn't colored yet by a professional. This was colored in-house at an agency, so I think there's a lot of room this image can grow. But I just love that happy accident. I love the way that gradient looks like in the background. This is from that same project, and this is a grab from the Small HD. So what we're seeing is just, as you always do screen grabs, I always ask my first ACs if they've got their monitor. I'm always like, grab a screen grab so that I can look back. If we have to, right when we start frames, let's grab a screen grab so we know kind of how each frame started. If there's downtime, just grab a screen grab. If things change, grab a screen grab. So it also shows you the data. It's like, that's right, we were shooting 2398, 180, ISO 640, 6000 degrees Kelvin. This is fun. This was shooting for Microsoft. Back to school. I love this frame. I'm sure I was on on the wider end of the spectrum of these lenses. I had to punch into 7K. Yeah, that means I was probably on, rehoused by Works camera. They got a 20, a 25, a 35, a 50, a 85, and 100. I was probably in that 25 range, maybe the 20 range. I know the 20 doesn't cover the full frame on the VistaVision Red V Raptor, but somewhere in there. Beautiful lenses. Nevertheless, love this frame. Looks good. Here's a sneak peek at a frame that we went down to a company in Kentucky and shot in their warehouse for one of their like sales meetings. It was a big budget shoot for just one video that they wouldn't even show publicly, just for their shareholders. Because of that, they wanted to make this product look epic and sexy, and we were able to push the boundaries or whatever we wanted to kind of do. And we ended up going with the Red V Raptor again from our friends over at Horizon. It's a great local rental house here in St. Louis. It's got a fun website, cameras, the whole 9 yards. Got the Red V Raptor, just so happens to be my camera consigned over there. It's got all the Ignite Digi housing so that you can slide on and off quickly on a Ronin or a Freefly Movi or whatever. We're getting imagery like, I think this is looking great. The reflections, you got the aperture 1200Ds in the background skipping off the ground. You've got just this nice soft bokeh. You've got me on the Ronin running around. And the next 3 frames are these same kind of style. I've never shot the Atlas Mercuries or whatever. They look good. I had the Rotopolo going on this, and that can you can overdo it sometimes. And I might have got a little close to taking out too much of the natural skin reflections in her. You see this often in a darker skin complexion that if you over crank it or you push it too far on that Rotopolo, it can get maybe chalky is the way to say it. Whoa, what happened to your skin? Something looks weird. You'll know when you see it. I don't know the right descriptor for it, but I think I'm flirting with that line right here. Love the bokeh. Love this frame. On this next project, who would have thought, we're back on the Red V Raptor again, but this time it's unique. That's supposed to be public. I'm gonna blur the face. I just want to point out Red V Raptor 12mm Laowa lens, low to the ground on a Benro hi-hat. Looking up at this person, I was like, cool. We got to travel to like 5 different cities. Let's do it light, let's do it different, and let's have some fun. And I'm really happy the way this image turned out for an interview. Definitely different. You don't normally see an interview set up with a 12mm lens. Like, I'm almost touching the camera. I about touched it. That's about how far we were with the 12mm. Nice and low looking up. It was dope. It was fun. Totally different. Here's a new one, Canon C500 Mark II with the DZO Vespid primes. At another project for Microsoft. And one of the reasons why I'm showing this frame is because of some of those happy accidents. We were supposed to just shoot these curtains that are on the side, these black we were doing this theme with this color paper. The chair is always in the center. We kind of reframed this exactly throughout the school. We changed the color paper, but we always had the same kind of distancing. And it just so happened to be that I found this awesome silver shiny backdrop that was also behind here. Like, that wasn't even part of it. We just saw it on the day. I'm like, dude, this is way cool. We were just gonna shoot these black curtains. Put some Microsoft blue on the backdrop and call it a day. C500 Mark II, not a bad camera, just an odd camera, especially if you have to shoot it 9x16. It's a stupid camera. 9x16 on a C500 Mark II, stupid. Don't recommend it, but I have pulled it off in a couple of these jobs. Vespids look fine. Just wanted to call this one out because it was just such a fun, happy accident, and having that backdrop, and I don't know, it feels like prom, man. It feels kind of cool. This is a frame that doesn't jump off the page or do anything crazy, but this frame is my first time shooting on a Sony FX3. Also shooting with rehoused Olympus OM lenses that our friends over at Horizon got rehoused by Zero Optic. Gorgeous lenses. Now, when I shot this, those lenses were still in the original housing, so they went off pretty much right after I filmed this little like ad for a local car dealership. Yeah, I know, we all shoot those. But I thought the lenses were beautiful, and this is my first step into the Sony FX3 world. I was impressed how I was holding the highlights of the outside. I know that data is there, and if you have a colorist with any weight, you're pulling that down a little bit, you're keeping that key up. I'm very happy with the balance of what we're able to do on a like car lot kind of thing. First time shooting Sony FX3 and many of the next frames or more of that. Another Sony FX3 kind of brings me back to this frame over here because of the backdrop. We're just in a hotel room using the shears, which is great. We're in Vegas, and this was a wall with just like all the AC units, but we needed to look the other direction on one shoot and look this direction for the next shoot. And from our rental house over at Boca Rentals, which was a nice, good shout out to Boca Rentals. They're also a great rental house. They padded our cameras. We got a camera coffin, and it just happened to come with these nice kind of like soft blankets instead of like a ferny pad. There were these like charcoal gray blankets, and I was like, boom, let's use those. Those are curtains. Now we got a curtain wall with some texture. Let's put some color on there. and just call it a day. And just want to give a shout out to the Sony FX3. Speaking of which, brings us over here, the Sony FX6. This is another shout out. This is at that same hotel, but now we're on the penthouse on the 85th floor. And I really want to point out one of the reasons, one of my favorite frames, we are at that 12,800 ISO. And what you can do with 12,800 ISO is crazy. And I'm somewhat new to the Sony like ecosystem. What we got going on here in the backdrop, this is Vegas. This is Vegas like skyline or whatever. You can still see all the twinkle lights from all the street lights. What this would look like at ISO 800 is totally different than if I went 12,800 to still hold some of that information in that deep background of those windows. And then on the inside, take all of our key lights, his key light, do down to like 10% or less. Take these practical lamps, throw them on a dimmer, get them as down as low as possible because we're trying to play with that 12,800 and still try to have somewhat of a shadow side. Now, we kept the window open. You got to see that night sky because of that 12,800. This is a little fun screen grab from the old Cine 7, well, small HD Cine 7. I mentioned early on that I was a second unit DP behind this man here, Chuck Hatcher, a DP based out of Texas. Came up here in St. Louis and we shot a DP pilot that, after we finished that 6 days of shooting, man, did we feel like we got some gold here. So stay tuned for that TV pilot and I'll drop the names whenever it gets close to coming out. I did sign NDAs. This doesn't give away anything besides showing the DP sitting in a frame as we're lighting up a scene. I got the second unit DP for him on this project with these 6 cameras, with all St. Louis local crew running these cameras. I really was able to let Chuck sit back at the monitor, allow me to come in and put people where we needed to put them. Half the time me operating a camera, the other half of the time just me being in between to making sure all of our operators are capturing what we need. It was reality meets cinema. I'm excited for this pilot, and I cannot wait to share it. If you got screen grabs of the DP, you gotta have some screen grabs of some of your operators and your sound guys stepping in. Sometimes when you're on small crews, you got to have people who are there for you to check your lighting. This is the Blackmagic. This is the DZO Cat Aces. They're just being goofs right now on frame. It's fun. This industry is so much fun. I feel so blessed to be a part of it. And these people are rad. Last but not least, got myself sitting in frame at Nikki Glazer's podcast. A couple years ago, I got a call at the time during COVID when everyone was doing podcasts. I was listening to comedy podcasts. I was like, I don't do podcasts, but I listen to them all the time. And I said, yeah, sure. I'll help you set this up. Knowing that Nikki's from St. Louis, I'm from St. Louis, it was kind of a cool opportunity. Fast forward, this is years later. This is just me coming in. I guess somewhat looking up to the ceiling, like how did that stay up there? Let's break down this room. 3 camera, 2 chairs, kind of interview setup. 1 in the middle, 2 on the sides that covered the 2 chairs. For lighting, we had 3 1x1 panels that I was given to do what I wanted with. And I thought, let's raise the ambient in this room. I built 3-sided beadboard, like goes up, goes on an angle and flattens out. So I don't just shoot straight into a corner. I was able to shoot it onto an angle. So all these 3 lights are shooting up into this beadboard to help give a soft, even kind of like overall top light that just brings the overall ambient in the room, kind of like just good quality. And then there's the 2 kind of through soft boxes right at the talent, doing like 3/4 kind of stuff, make them pop a little bit more. And I'm pretty proud of it. I think in this shot, I'm just looking up like, how the hell does that stay up there? Guys, I like to use like Velcro, those strips that you put on the side and then like the hooks, whatever, like the 3M strips. And I put lots of them, but the way I have it angled, so it's on a flat wall, there's a bunch there. On the angle part, there's not any contact to that. It's between the wall and the angle of the ceiling. And then at the ceiling part, there's a bunch of them. It's still standing up there. This is multiple years later. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe this is staying up there. So every now and again, I get to go over to her house really, and check in on things, making sure everything's still working. This one was just going to fix one of her Sony A6400s or whatever. I think she didn't have the setting on like the fan setting properly, so it shut off during some of her podcasts, and that got annoying. And so I went to go fix that. She's definitely a Taylor Swift fan. I'll just leave it at that. Well, this is a few of my favorite frames from 2024. For one reason being cinematic, maybe, all the way to just like happy accidents when background lights work out for you, and having to move quickly, to just this is just sometimes getting those sweet gigs where you get to drive a Maserati down to the location. Don't pass up on those opportunities. To experimenting with a 12mm, allow a 12mm on a Redview Raptor after 8K, low looking up for your interview setup. Like, come on, that's crazy. To just, more happy accents, background, me getting my first touch into the Sony FX3, not because, it's been out for so long, but I don't know, I just didn't have projects. I didn't shoot a lot of these smaller, like, car ads. I didn't shoot any of those in 2023, 2022. I was shooting mainly commercials. It was just kind of a weird year. 2024 was a weird year. I got contact from a company not in St. Louis looking for a DP. My website does pretty well, and I'm often one of the first calls for people who are not in St. Louis. Speaking of my website, you should probably check it out, stevencgreathouse.com. You can see more of my frames and more of my projects that I've worked on. This was fun, shooting for Schleg. We shot multiple ads. Good stuff, good times anyway. Give it a buzz. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, this is Shot, Cut, and Colored, where I go over things that I've shot, things I've cut, things that I've colored. We go look at new camera equipment. We talk about times I got scammed. We explore frames. We talk about opportunities when you get on driving Maserati. I don't know, anything. I'm just trying to dive back in, not miss an upload every Friday, 2025 and beyond. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Peace.